Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And in this video, I want to talk about a bit different topic, which is related to fighter plane consumable. Now, the reason why I want to talk is that there is a comment on my YouTube channel is that if there is a reason why are you valuing the fighter plane so high, and in my experience trying it, it simply doesn't work, Well, the thing is that even though he's saying that the fighters should attack planes that are 4 seconds inside their action zone, but I think the spaghetti code and that this and that. Well, I basically answered him that there are some conditions in which the fighter consumable does work, and I will explain you here real quick. So if you are new to the channel, by the way, please comment down below. If you have anything to ask, I will try to explain it a lot much more in detail. And please subscribe if you find this video very helpful. So let me go and check out something else here so that you can actually able to understand how fighter consumable work and what are the conditions. Okay, so this is tier 9 premium, Japanese battleship Musashi, a notoriously having bad AA. It has so bad AA that I would rate it as tier 4 or tier 5 AA levels at tier 9. It is that bad. And the only way to mitigate some of the damage from carriers is basically just using this fighter consumable. Now, typically at higher tiers, you have 4 fighters. At lower tiers, you have 2 or 3 fighters. Depending upon the tier, you have those fighters. Your action radius will going to be the same, 3 kilometers, but your number of fighters is going to be high. In this case, you have 4 fighters. Well, I will explain you a bit more that when the fighter will actually going to get tagged, and when sometimes you don't find anything of value whatsoever from your fighter ship consumable. And these are the clips which will basically show you here that these conditions are basically not met, and that's the reason why the fighter consumable is not working and basically shooting down the planes. So let me go and check out those videos real quick. Okay, so this is a clip from Sigurd. I'm using the bots to basically showcase you that when the fighters actually work or not work depending upon the conditions. But I can tell you one thing, Alsace have 4 fighters, and as you can see here, you have 9 planes on the squadron. So what happens is if Alsace using this plane, he will actually able to basically maximum shoot down 4 of my planes in this squadron. So the remaining planes gonna be in this attack run is gonna be 5. Okay, this is one thing that you should keep in mind. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and drop this Alsace here real quick, and you can actually able to see in this one clip that I will basically gonna drop this guy, but I know the fighter is going to get tagged. He will be able to shoot down 4 of my planes if I initiate, by the way, the second strike after this strike. Okay, so what I will do is that I just basically drop the payload and I basically press the F button. So this is one thing that you should know. The condition didn't met. The fighters actually didn't get tagged. By the way, let me basically recap this real quick. As you can see here, you see this fighter, you basically get into 3 kilometer aura. The fighters are in the state in which they are waiting to basically get tagged to these squadrons, okay? It did not get red. If it get red, this fighter thing gets red, which basically means that now they are going to be in attack phase, and they will actually try to shoot down the planes. But I mean, if I launch the attack, and even before getting this fighter consumable red, I basically initiate the attack, I press the F button. Well, I press the F button, so Alsace fighters consumable did not do anything whatsoever. And by the way, there's also one thing that you should keep in mind. Let me show you here real quick, is that as you can see here, these planes, these 3 of the fighters, they actually drop the payload. Now, no matter what, the Alsace fighter consumable will not work on these planes that have dropped their payload. So this is one thing that you should keep in mind. These planes are the ones that will get shot down if I would have initiated the another strike on this Alsace. So you know what that basically means is that the ship fighters or the fighter consumable actually is a deterrent. It's sort of a defensive consumable that basically prevent strikes from happening again and again in just one squadron. So basically means that in this case, I'm just going to be able to do 1 strike. If I don't want to lose planes, I just press the F button. But if I want to basically risk that, I will basically lose 4 of my planes, because the fighter consumable does get tagged if I initiate the second strike after going around and do the next strike. So this is one thing that you should very much keeping in mind, and that's the reason why your conditions didn't met and the fighter did not work. I will show you another clip so you can actually able to understand a bit more about this fighter consumable and when its conditions are going to get met. Okay, so this is another example. I'm using torpedo bombers of Sekiryu now. Now the Alsace fighter, this is basically the same fighter that got basically launched when I was using rocket planes before that. But one thing that you have to remember, in this case, the condition again did not met of the fighters. They will not get tagged because, let me show you here. Remember that the fighter consumable mostly lasts for 60 seconds, okay? The consumable, if the 60 seconds actually run out, in this case, I basically knew exactly, as a good CV player, what they actually do, that they actually remember when the fighter consumable is gonna run out. And as you can see here, the fighter is basically now in a target phase, or I would say in a, not in attacking phase, but it is actually waiting for the time to which is basically 4 seconds, and it's just gonna wait for 4 seconds and it will get tagged after 4 seconds. But let me show you here real quick. As you can see here, the fighter didn't get tagged. Why? The consumable actually ran out. I pressed the F button, that's fine. If I would have keep striking the Alsace, it does not matter. The fighter consumable will not going to get work in this case whatsoever. So as you can see here, the Alsace fighter consumable just go down without even touching the fighters, touching my squadron whatsoever, because their consumable time is ran out. So another thing that carrier players usually do, and that's why you see sometimes, okay, why my fighters are so useless? Well, unfortunately, this is the case, and I think they should do something here that once it gets into 3-kilometer aura, the fighter must tag whatsoever, but they didn't something, like they did not do anything. They're basically giving benefit of doubt to carriers, which kind of sucks, unfortunately, I would say. But this is the reality, and that's why I'm basically showing you that why fighter consumable does not actually work most of the time like this. But I will also gonna try to showcase you that when actually fighter consumable work, and well, this video is gonna be next most likely. Okay, so this is gonna be another clip in which I basically going to press the F button. Now, one thing that you also need to remember, sometimes what happens here, I'm just gonna go and drop this guy, but I will again press the F button here, by the way. I just knew the fighter's going to get tagged. Again, the defensive A does shoot down some planes. As you can see here, he shoot down 3 planes, but the fighter consumable did not tag, because again, no matter what squadron that you have, if they don't have slow speed, I mean, in this case, Sekiryu does have fast speed. It has more than 200 knots of speed, and that's the reason why the fighter consumable didn't get tagged. They didn't get red. As you can see here, this thing I'm talking about, if it gets red on the fighter consumable, then you can actually say that, oh, they're now going to get tagged, or they will just gonna shoot down some planes. But in this case, the Minnesota, as you can see here, did not able to use the fighter consumable properly, and hence that condition didn't met. Again, unfortunately, I mean, I don't know why. It's kind of weird that why they do that. Why they just make the consumable so much giving the benefit of doubt to CVs? It's kind of absurd, to be honest now. But I will showcase you finally some clip that when actually the fight is gonna work. Let me show you here real quick. Okay, so this time I'm gonna drop this Louisiana, but I will keep chain striking this Louisiana, okay? He popped the fighter. As you can see here, the fighter got popped up. The fighter now basically is looking to basically have this timer running, like 4 seconds usually. So it's just gonna wait for 4 seconds. Once my planes get into 3-kilometer aura, which is the action zone, okay? Once it gets into 3-kilometer action zone, the fighters, this thing pops up, this one. And now, as you can see here, I'm just gonna do the strike again to this Louisiana, okay? I just drop the payload. And as you can see, that these planes will not going to get shot down whatsoever, because the planes that basically drop their payloads, fighter does not do anything whatsoever. But now you can see here, I didn't press the F button on time. The fighters actually got red. The fighter's now in attack phase. So I will just gonna go and try to do the strike on the Louisiana. Now, by the way, there's also one thing. Louisiana, you can see here, I have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so they have 8 planes, right? Now, this is, I don't know why they have added RNG. As you can see here, it pretty much sums up. You have total of 8 fighters. Both of them, I basically, met the condition like these fighters and these fighters going to get tagged here, and they will be coming for me to drop the attack, or at least attack my squadron. And as you can see here, I'm trying, okay, the first fighter basically trying to strike because I'm trying to do or initiate the second attack run. And as you can see here, he shoot down, what, I think 4 of my planes. And now the second fighter of the Minnesota get tagged. And as you can see here, it's actually shoot down 3 fighters. So again, there is some weird RNG involved. I'm not sure why. I mean, this fighter should have been shot down because I have 8 planes, right? And these have 8 planes too. So in total, I would have completely lost strike to do anything whatsoever. But again, there is some RNG involved, and somehow this plane survives. So sometimes you get 4 planes shot down, sometimes you get 3 planes shot down, and that's again giving benefit of doubt to carriers. This is absurd, I understand this, but I'm telling you that where are those conditions? Now this is where the condition actually met, and hence the reason why the carrier have lost some squadron, actually pretty valuable squadron. Okay, now I want to basically show you some cases where the Russian carriers and some of the carrier like the Nakhimov obviously have this notoriously easy way to basically strike, even though the Louisiana or maybe Minnesota have fighter consumable, but the Nakhimov can strike him because it has one strike method. I will showcase you here real quick so you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, there's also something that I want to showcase you again that is kind of benefiting the carriers, is that because of the fast planes, okay, what basically happened in this clip is that I'm using AP bombers of Sikriu. Now Alsace have its fighter plane pops up, the consumable now pops up, it's gonna hover around Alsace, and he's waiting to basically if some plane going to get into 3 kilometer aura. As you can see, I initiate the attack run, but obviously Sikriu takes a bit of a time. It has this weird drop pattern. He's gonna go up and down, and now the fighter planes actually tagged. Okay, once they get tagged, now they have to shoot down some planes, right? Because they actually get tagged. I'm dropping the payload. As you can see, I dropped the payload. Now actually the plane's gonna work. This consumable actually going to work, but what's going to happen? Let me show you here. I have so fast planes in Sikriu that I press the F button instantly. The Alsace probably have shot down 1 or 2 plane, maybe 1 plane from the fighter. As you can see, the HP pool of these planes, these planes, I mean, they won't be tagging. These planes have dropped the payload, so they won't do anything whatsoever. As you can see here, it has 5,778 HP. They have 3,393 HP. But what happens is the planes are too fast. These planes are too fast. He tried to shoot down the planes, but the planes basically get over to the clouds and they are now immune to the damage, and they have maybe shot down 1 or 2 planes. Now you do have shoot down or at least get some AA damage. Like in this case, in the case of Alsace, he might have got some more AA damage, but he might not have shoot down some planes because my planes are too fast. Again, benefiting the carrier, saving them some planes again in return, because if he did not lose those planes, it does not matter. They will get into the hull of the carrier and they will launch again. That's where fighter consumable does not work. So now I will also basically try to showcase you that where the fighter consumable might not work. Okay, so I have A6 now, or Nakhimov, because they are these planes, these rocket planes, either they are of Nakhimov, either they are of A6. They will have 1 strike to basically drop on this squadron. Okay, so what basically means that if they fully drop their payload, the fighter's not gonna work. So in this case, it's gonna exactly going to be that. Now there's a Louisiana, he popped the fighter plane consumable, obviously, and I'm gonna drop the payload. And as you can see here, the Louisiana fighters now in a phase where they're gonna basically attack them, but after 4 seconds, obviously. And as you can see here, I dropped the payload now. Once I drop the payload, and look at that, I dropped the payload. Once I drop the payload, the Louisiana planes will not going to get tagged whatsoever. The fighter consumable gets pretty much useless. And that's the case with Nakhimov. That's the case with every CV that have 1 single strike in their squadron. So the fighter planes are not gonna work on this as well. Okay, so there are some things that good CV players usually do, and that's the reason why fighter consumable does not work, is that if you basically drop the initial first strike on Louisiana in this case, and if you pop the heal, what heal actually does is that the heal is gonna save your planes from getting shot down by these Louisiana fighters, and well, your planes are not gonna be in a loss. They won't be get shot down, and well, they will again, the fighter consumable again going to be useless, even though your plane damage is gonna be ticking there because they have tried to do that, but you are healing because of the heal, and that's the reason why it's not gonna work. Also, one more thing that typical carrier players do, like good CV players, is that they also have this patrol fighter consumable. Now, this is a bit weird because in this case, A6 does have tons of HP on their patrol squadrons, okay? But for example, if there is a bungo that might be using fighter consumable, it does have notoriously not good AA whatsoever. Musashi also does not have AA good whatsoever. So what they basically do is that, let me show you here real quick. So they basically, I'm just gonna be giving you an example, and hence the reason why I'm doing this, okay? The fighter, I'm in the fighter range, and I pop this consumable, okay? So I basically quickly get out of that 3 kilometer aura so that the fighter consumable does not going to get tagged. But the funny part is that that's where something strange is gonna happen. Now in this case, this is the Minnesota fighter that actually going to get clipped with my patrol fighter consumable. Look at that. This plane and these planes now are attacking each other. And once you can see this, look at that. My fighter actually trying to shoot down the Minnesota fighters, and my fighter gets shot down by Louisiana and Minnesota defensive air fire. And well, the fighter did not work again. Yeah. And hence the reason why the conditions are not met. And that's the reason why I would say the fighter consumables are pretty weird. And I mean, if you have to use them, you have to basically pop them around 7-8 kilometers if you really have this fear that the carrier is gonna strike you. And that's where the fighter consumable actually gonna work. Now, the thing that I can actually say is that this fighter consumable is a deterrent for just a single strike. If you want the enemy CV to only strike you once, the fighter consumable most likely going to work if he actually tries to do second strike. If he does press the F button on time, the fighter consumable again will not get tagged because, well, they have high speed, they will go up in altitude, and the fighter consumable is not gonna work whatsoever. They're only deterrents, they are only used as defensive tool. For some reason by Wargaming, I don't understand this. Why this is the case, why they are not that much aggressive, why the reaction time is pretty low that they don't tag. That's basically up to them. I basically explained the conditions when and where the fighter consumable will work. And well, that's basically it. So if you have any questions, please comment me down below. If you are new to the channel, definitely please let me know. If you have any question, any hot question, or any topic that you want to talk about, I will try to explain with my video or maybe some review that I can do. So please like, share, and subscribe. And I might have made some mistakes in this video, so I apologize. That's what I can only say. But if you have anything to say, please let me down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you into the next one. Peace out.